Let's continue with this idea of grouping. And again, in PEMDAS, PEMDAS is a good way to structure our thinking, but it's just a skeletal outline. It really takes a lot of understanding what our context is, because if you try to do PEMDAS verbatim without having a broader understanding of what needs to happen, then you might get mixed up in terms of what needs to go in which order. So for instance, here's something that may be a little bit confusing, so I'd like to go over it. So let's say that we have these brackets. Okay, so brackets is just another way of grouping. Okay, so you could think of it as the P in PEMDAS of parentheses, but parentheses is just one of many ways of grouping. Another way of grouping are with these brackets. And the reason why we use these brackets is because if we have parentheses inside parentheses, we start to lose track of, well, what did these parentheses go to? So we like to alternate between brackets and parentheses so that it's visually more understandable about what's being asked of us. So for instance, let's say that we had within here, so we had 3 times everything in these brackets, and then in the bracket we had negative 2 to the 4th plus negative, let's say negative 12, and then this entire grouping of this bracket is going to be squared. So we've got a lot of stuff going on in here, and PEMDAS is what we need to follow, but again, because there's so many types of groupings, it's really important to understand the context of what kind of groupings we look at first. So what I would look at is, okay, these brackets are signifying that everything in here is sort of like a closed system. It's a package. So if we want, we can look at this package first and then take apart what's inside the package. In this package, there's an addition sign, and we're adding these two terms together, okay? So since we'd love to add these two terms together, these two terms need to be just basic integers. They need to be integers that are already simplified. But do you see that this is negative 2 to the 4th? This right here needs to be simplified first so we can boil it down to a particular integer so that we can then add whatever this value is to negative 12. So that's why we need to then do this once we're inside first. And this is negative 2 in parentheses, so that means everything inside the parentheses is going to be considered the base, and then the 4 is going to be considered the exponent. So it's this right here. If this was just a problem by itself, it would be telling us to multiply negative 2 against itself, against itself 4 times. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 times, okay? So let's just go step by step. Negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. So this turns into a positive 4. Here, we're going to multiply 4. So this whole thing is equal to a positive 4. Negative times negative is a positive. Now we have 4 times negative 2. 4 times negative 2, 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. So we turn this whole thing is a 4 right here, just like that. Then we multiply this times negative 2. This becomes negative 8. And now we're left with negative 8 times negative 2. Negative times negative is a positive, so we're left with a positive 16. So negative 2 to the 4th power is 16. So I could erase this and put a 16. Now, when you're actually working it out on the quiz or the test, I don't want you to erase stuff. I want you to show it line by line. It's just that I only have so much room here, so that's why I'm erasing. Now we can add these two together. 16 plus negative 12 is going to be a positive 4. So everything in here becomes a positive 4. Okay? Now this positive 4 is in brackets. So let me just scoot these brackets in just so they visually look better. And I still need to keep the square here. So now this is basically what I have. So now we have 3 times 4 squared. This bracket, if you want, it's just a way of grouping. So if you're more comfortable putting this grouping in parentheses, that's fine. Like 4 squared like that. Now here, the only thing in this parentheses is 4. That's it. So right now, this parentheses is not adding any new information, okay? So we honestly don't even need the parentheses anymore because we've taken care of everything that would be inside that parentheses. So this is 3 times 4 squared. Now, according to PEMDAS, we do exponents before we do multiplication. So 4 squared is 16, so that's 3 times 16. And then you could do 3 times 16 is 48. So that entire big expression that we had before was all simplified down to the one number 48. So I'll give you a chance to practice these types of problems.